the land. Rudyard Kipling. When Julius Fabricius, sub-prefect of the Weald, in the days of Diocletian owned our lower river field, he called to him Hobdenius, a Briton of the clay, saying, Amperson quo. What about that river piece for laying into hay? Amperson quo. And the aged Hobden answered, Amperson quo. I remember as a lad my father told your father that she wanted dreenin' bad. And the more that you neglect her the less you'll get her clean. Have it just as you've a mind to, but, if I was you, I'd dreen. Amperson quo. So they drained it long and crossways in the lavish Roman style. Still we find among the river drift their flakes of ancient tile, and in drouthy middle August, when the bones of meadows show, we can trace the lines they followed 1600 years ago. Then Julius Fabricius died as even prefects do, and after certain centuries, imperial Rome died too. Then did robbers enter Britain from across the northern main, and our lower river field was won by Ogier the Dane. Well could Ogier work his warboat, well could Ogier wield his brand, much he knew of foaming waters, not so much of farming land. So he called to him a Hobden of the old unaltered blood, saying, Amperson quo. What about that river piece? She doesn't look no good? Amperson quo. And that aged Hobden answered him quo. Tain't for me not interfere. But I've known that bit o' meadow now for 55 year. Have it just as you've a mind to, but I've proved it time on time, if you want to change her nature you have got to give her lime. Amperson quo. Ogier sent his wains to lose 20 hours solemn walk, and drew back great abundance of the cool, grey, healing chalk. An old Hobden spread it broadcast, never heeding what was in single quotee. Which is why in cleaning ditches, now and then we find a flint. Ogier died. His sons grew English. Anglo-Saxon was their name, till out of blossomed Normandy another pirate came. For Duke William conquered England and divided with his men, and our lower river field he gave to William of Warren. But the brook, you know her habit, rose one rainy autumn night and tore down sodden flitches of the bank to left and right. So, said William to his bailiff as they rode their dripping rounds, Amperson quo. Hob, what about that river bit, the brook's got up no bounds? Amperson quo. And that aged Hobden answered, Amperson quo. Tain't my business to advise, but ye might ha' known 'twould happen from the way the valley lies. Where ye can't hold back the water you must try and save the sill. Have it just as you've a mind to, but, if I was you, I'd spill. Amperson quo. They spilled along the watercourse with trunks of willow trees, and planks of elms behind 'em and immortal oaken knees. And when the spates of autumn whirl the gravel beds away you can see their faithful fragments, iron hard and iron clay. Georgi Cointiano Sexto, I, who own the river field, am fortified with title deeds, attested, signed and sealed, guaranteeing me, my assigns, my executors and heirs all sorts of powers and profits which are neither mine nor theirs. I have rights of chase and warren, as my dignity requires. I can fish but Hobden tickles, I can shoot, but Hobden wires. I repair, but he reopens, certain gaps which, men allege, have been used by every Hobden since a Hobden swapped a hedge. Shall I dog his morning progress o'er the track betraying dew? Demand his dinner basket into which my pheasant flew? Confiscate his evening faggot under which my conies ran, and summons him to judgment? I would sooner summons Pan. His dead are in the churchyard 30 generations laid. Their names were old in history when Domesday Book was made. And the passion and the piety and prowess of his line have seeded, rooted, fruited in some land the law calls mine. Not for any beast that burrows, not for any bird that flies, would I lose his large sound counsel, miss his keen amending eyes. He is bailiff, woodman, wheelwright, field surveyor, engineer, and if flagrantly a poacher ta'en single quotee from me to interfere. Amperson quo. Hob, what about that river bit? Amperson quo. I turned to him again, with Fabricius and Ogier and William of Warren. Amperson quo. Have it just as you've a mind to, but and quo. And here he takes command. For whoever pays the taxes old Mus Hobden owns the land.